Our next guest is a man who needs no introduction, has been a mentor to many, including myself, an example for entrepreneurship and building business. We're really, really excited to welcome the one, the only Jay Prince.
Oh yeah, how y'all doing, bro?
Doing great, doing great.
Good, man.
Every time I see you, I feel like you've got a new venture going. It's like, are you ever going to relax and retire? Because it's like your mind doesn't stop working. So we're going to start by just getting into this thing. Like when we talked about doing this interview, we are like, we're not going to ask him the same questions that he gets asked in every interview.
Hmm.
Um, and we're going to be a little bit different here. So the
All
first
good,
thing, we're going to get right into loyalty wines.
beautiful. What a beautiful startup.
Definitely. Definitely. So, one of the more interesting things when I heard about this venture was I know you're not a drinker, right? And you don't
Right.
and but I know a few years ago you discovered red wine. So
Yeah.
first tell us everything you do is intentional, right? You don't
Yeah.
affiliate with a brand that you don't actually believe in. Tell us
Right.
tell us the synthesis of how this came together. From first you falling in love with red wine to actually deciding to make a business of it.
Yeah. Well, years ago, I was watching TV and I was observing this doctor by the name of Dr. Red Duke. He's a surgeon out of Houston, and he was speaking about uh, all the benefits where red wine is concerned, the health benefits,
Yeah.
and I was moved by that because I had no idea that no type of drink had health benefits, and after listening to him, where red wine is good for the heart and the blood flow thins the blood and all these different type of things. The grapes, we definitely are aware of grapes being good for you. But so I listened to all of this, and eventually I took trips to Napa Valley,
Mhm.
and I visit vineyards. I even negotiated on purchasing a few vineyards. So I had opportunity to look behind the scenes on the business side of the wine venture. And those combination of things after I decide, in my winding down time, sipping a little red wine, I just became a fan of drinking a little red wine every now and then. And from a business perspective, uh, I'm always looking forward to diversifying my portfolio. And
Yes.
that brought me to coming up with a great name for the product. And loyalty, was the perfect name for me because it complement my lifestyle, who I became, who I am. And, I think it would complement, everybody and they're celebrating in different moments of appreciation, whether it's Super Bowl, whether it's marriages, whatever it may be. You can't celebrate anything without some loyalty
Yes.
being involved.
Yeah.
Ex- Exactly. And
So,
the packaging is incredible. We got Julia sent us
Thank
over
you.
the marketing package. The packaging is incredible.
Appreciate
It's
it.
it's it's great.
so as I was doing my research on you, man, I was, you know, really inspired by how much you value loyalty, as you mentioned with the wines, and I also was struck in a past interview you had given about how, in raising your kids, you really expect a lot from them in terms of how much they need to do as an individual, as an adult, to really be able to carry on your legacy, continue building on your empire. So you had even said in that interview that if somebody wasn't up to par, somebody from outside of your own, blood family were to come in
Yeah.
that could actually grow the empire, you would immediately welcome them with open arms. And
Right.
that philosophy for you has led to loyalty that far reaches your bloodline, which is, really interesting paradigm because many people would almost look at things backward, but I would consider that more from an abundance mindset in the way
Right.
that you give loyalty. Can you talk a little bit about how you think about that with people, how you build that kind of connection where you know that that person has your back and you have theirs? Like what's the prerequisite for that?
Yeah. That's trust is something that has to be earned. You know what I mean? It's something that I don't give a person. If you want my trust, you're gonna have to earn that. And if you're not willing to earn it, you don't want it. And it the same, vice versa. I don't want nobody, I don't tell a person, oh, you can trust me. If I had the opportunity, I'm gonna earn my trust. And if you know how to like receive that properly and know the essence of what that really means, then it's not a problem with uh, building a foundation where that's concerned. You know what I mean? The whole
Yeah.
trust area. So you spoke of something earlier where my kids are concerned that I like to address also. It's real important to me, you know, building what I have built for the legacy to continue. And like when you're dealing with business, you understand just from dealing with business, it don't have to be personal. As
Yeah.
I've stated so many times, I work with so many people I didn't personally like, but business is business.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And where my business is concerned, and in order for the legacy to continue, it's about who is better equipped. Because if you just want to go with bloodline, for example, here's a good analogy. I could have stuck with my brother. I named my company Rap-A-Lot. His name was Sir
Yes.
Rap-A-Lot. I
Hmm.
could have stuck with him and stayed loyal to my brother and never had a Rap-A-Lot to come to fruition. But
Yeah.
I understood business. I understood that it wasn't personal. I understood that I was trying to break the poverty curse where my family was concerned. I understood the big picture, and I was trying to get to the big picture, and I wasn't going to allow bloodline or nothing personal to stop that from changing the lives of so many.
Yeah, and also to extend on your kids, right? Like, and Partha and I have talked about it. It's an interesting challenge when you're the son of someone who's been successful, right? Our parents came over with nothing in their pockets from another country and got it out the mud just like you did.
Yeah,
So it's natural for us to not have the exact same mindset as you guys do. And that's not what you want. Part of the reason that you all worked as hard as you did is for us to struggle less than you did.
yeah,
But you still also want us to be grounded, be humble, and chase our dreams with the same aggression that you chase them with.
yeah,
How do you how do you balance that? Because even speaking with Andre, we've had these conversations about the challenge of living in the shadow of giants.
yeah.
Um, and how do you address that with your kids?
Well, I started addressing it at a young age. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
The expectations of that I had for them, and most of all, the respect that I had for them of who they wanted to become and who they wanted to be, and the support system that I put around them to complement whoever they wanted to become. So of
Yeah,
course, I had expectations. I don't want you to be a bomb or nothing like that, but by the same token, I respect who you want to be.
yeah,
Because I understand that happiness is not based on riches. You know what I
yes.
mean? So I always gave them this analogy. I would be happy if you're happy being a dump truck driver. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And love those that's closest to you and respect those that's closest to you and it's mutual, then I'm going to love you for whoever you want to be, if
Yes,
that's what brings you happiness. So, I set the tone in my household, on that level, at least letting them know that I'm going to love you unconditionally, even if it ain't about the money.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It ain't about the six figures, five, four. No, you mine. So I'm gonna love you unconditionally with whoever you choose to be in life.
yeah,
I absolutely love that you separated the personal side of loyalty, trust, and all of that from the business side of it, because I think that's a differentiation that not a lot of people make. They carry over their personal feelings into business, and that's where things get really messy.
Yeah,
Something you touched on was, you mentioned the poverty curse, and this is something I'm always really interested in, but I feel that there's a lot of thought patterns that can trap us into different conditions here in America. And you having been through so many different, strata, you've experienced a whole lot of different ways people think. Anywhere from, the most scarce of scarce to the most abundant of abundant. How were you able to retain your headspace and your core values along the way where the outside world wouldn't disrupt the way you saw yourself and saw your potential?
I think through wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. My spiritual foundation was major in me being able to like build anything on it and retaining anything on it. I had and I was glad. I just done an interview where I was stating I was so happy my mother sent me on that bus to get that
Yeah.
spiritual foundation. Even though she didn't go with me, just sending me on that bus,
Yeah.
I think was the ultimate determinator of life and death for me, because it was. I remember like all of the incidents and all of the decision making and the choices I made based on my spiritual foundation. So that was, you know, that was priceless.
Yeah.
So if I had to give credit where anything was concerned, it would be my spiritual foundation with the Creator. I always use that as a balancing factor with everything.
That's a great perspective. And one other thing I wanted to ask about this was, in terms of who you are, right? You are a leader, you are a boss, and a lot of people depend on you. Anytime, one thing that's very different about you is, you know, anytime I've ever asked for your time, and I know I'm not the only one, you've granted it to me. And a lot of people who get in your position aren't able to do that anymore and don't make that a priority. And I know there are a lot of people who depend on you, probably to even greater, obviously to a greater degree than I do. Does it ever get frustrating or overwhelming to have this many people kind of
Um,
dependent and leaning on you for advice and to help them reach their goals?
no, no, that's something that like I believe too much given much is required.
Yeah,
And and one of my gifts and one of my passions is giving. So it's something I enjoy doing. You know what I mean? It's not, and it's something that I control as well. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So, in other words, I don't open the door for the world to just, harass me. But those that I connect with, such as yourself, those that I choose, to have those conversations with and apply my time, is because I enjoy it, and it's because I feel like it's not in vain. Like I
yeah,
don't like talking to a fool.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's a waste of time, right?
yeah,
And it's easy for me to like discern. My intuition like taps into foolishness kind of fast. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So long as I'm not doing that, I feel like I'm being a blessing, man.
You definitely are.
Love that, man. So we talked about your spiritual foundation and how that guided you through a lot of the trials and tribulations you went through. Do you believe that a spiritual foundation is the first thing somebody should focus on if they're really set on getting out of their circumstance and creating a better life for themselves?
Um, I think, man, like being a parent and being a recipient of what it done for me, I think you can. I think that's something that should be a lifestyle, raising a kid. You know what I mean? That should be, like we brush our teeth every day. That should be a lifestyle to the extent where you are pouring something, a substance in that kid weekly, daily, or however you choose to do it. And you can do that along with education, along with other things, other nourishment as well. But that one was real deep for me.
Yeah,
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 that saved my life.
That's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's talk about big dreams, right? And how you even decided, like, in this music space, you are known as the first person, as far as I know, and as far as the industry is concerned, to say, you know what, I'm not going to be trapped by being owned by someone else. I'm going to start my own thing, and I'm going
Yeah.
to control my own destiny and not let anyone else dictate it. And at that time, you didn't have an example. Now we have examples like yourself, like Master P, like Cash Money, and even in the entrepreneurial space outside of the music industry, we have examples, but you didn't have an example to lean on. So tell us exactly how you even decided I'm going to do it on my own, and then went about learning how to do it on your own.
Um, you know, some of these things I can't explain. You know,
Yeah,
other than like when I was 7 and 8 years old, it was almost like it was a spirit on me to believe a certain way, and like I was so advanced and so ahead of the rest of my age bracket. And I don't know how to really explain that other than saying it was a spirit on me, because it wasn't something that I watched. It wasn't something that I, observed and got it from nowhere. It was
yeah,
just like in me, almost like in my DNA,
yeah,
from places I can't explain, right?
yeah,
But it was there, and it was alive. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I felt it, and I started to believe it, and I started to exercise, that I was feeling, that I believe. And, as abnormal as it seemed back in the independent space, when, the record labels was telling me 98% of the labels that try to do what I was doing fail,
yeah,
trying to discourage me, and they was actually right about the percentage. But
yeah,
I would sit and listen to these people, and I would, at the end of the conversation, I would say, "You say 98%, right?" They say, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I'm gonna be in that 2% that, you know what I mean, that was
yeah,
Yeah.
successful." So that was me. That was me always feeling like I could make the impossible possible.
mhm,
And it all started in my mind before it came to fruition.
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's the best way I can explain it, because I didn't, as you know, the East Coast, all of them was doing production
yeah,
deals,
Yeah.
yeah,
and I was offered that, but I was like, that ain't good enough for me. I
yeah,
don't, I don't want to, I don't want to follow the leaders
yeah,
that's accepting production deals. So
yeah,
I laid a different blueprint, you know what I
yeah,
mean, which inspired the whole South, which brought a whole new mentality for the upcoming entrepreneurs in the game, and that's something that I'm proud of doing.
That's awesome, man.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Two follow-up questions to that real quickly is, we know that you went through a long process of struggle before you became successful. But I think it's important for entrepreneurs and any individual who goes through that struggle to also understand what the reward of being independent and making 100% of the revenue yourself and not having to give it away, because the music industry is an industry of exploitation. But take us into that at that time in the late 80s, early 90s, when CDs were selling, what that
Cassette
reward,
tapes.
cassette tapes,
Yeah.
what that reward felt like when you were seeing the weekly or biweekly checks coming in to you, not to anyone else, and then being
Yeah.
distributed to you, but
Yeah.
coming directly to you.
Yeah. What a beautiful reward. And what I tell you, what I really used to love was to watch the distributors and watch the major record labels who had slammed doors in my face, how they began to chase me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? How they began to, want to do business. I went to all of them,
Hmm.
extending, asking for opportunity. And everything turned, 360. But, that was a situation, man, a rewarding situation, not only monetarily, but
Hmm.
all the non-believers.
Yeah.
Nobody thought it could be done. Everybody thought it was foolish to even be taking those risks and believing that I could go on a platform, you know what I mean, or something that had never happened, and sell 500,000 records, 250, you know what I mean, and getting
Yeah.
85% of the money and owning
Yeah.
the masters. Oh, you know, I still love the way that feel. You know what I mean? I still got some of that money.
I need to see one of those mind playing tricks on me. Check.
Yeah. That money, is still coming in, So,
Yeah,
yeah, no, it was a blessing, man. It was a
definitely.
blessing.
So it's so interesting to hear you talk about, this special feeling inside, because it reminds me of there's a concept in Hinduism of dharma, which is like a higher purpose. And they say basically that if you do everything for a higher purpose, you are free of like the good and bad in life. Everything stops being so polarizing and it just becomes, a sequence of events. And I think that one of the struggles that a lot of people have when they're trying to build something or really just stepping on their own to fight for success is that they get really discouraged by a lot of the negative things that come in their way, and they put themselves in a headspace that um, they're not going to be able to get past it. And one thing I've admired really about just hearing your perspective is that you seem unbelievably grateful and humble as a result of your spirituality. And I think for anybody listening to this, I think it's exciting whenever I meet somebody tremendously successful who also does not act in that way. You know what I mean? And that's like a character trait that is exciting to see, because it shows everybody that success is really tied with being a good person. So, kind of to segue into that question that I have for you, I had seen in an interview that you spoke about how you had built your business, and then there was kind of a pivot point in your life where you started really focusing on yourself and self development once you had built your company to a certain stage. So, what kind of things do you do to get yourself better, to improve yourself?
Well, one of the things I do is receive wisdom, such as what you just gave me. And even though it come from a different place, I think you mentioned Hinduism. I receive wisdom from, I don't allow religion or the boxes that man have came up with to clog my ears from receiving wisdom wherever it come from. You know what I mean? And I'm a seeker of that. But what was the question now?
The question was, there was a point in your life where you started to tremendously focus on your own self development, at least
Oh,
according to
okay,
one of the interviews
okay.
that I
No,
saw.
I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. Like, I'm at a place now where, um, having a talent is one thing, and of course, I use my talent to. It has benefited me in like great places, but to have a purpose and to live out your purpose is a whole different level of the game. And I'm at a state of mind right now where I want to live out my purpose. And one of my main pieces of living out my purpose is inspiring and uplifting and creating opportunities for others other than myself. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I get a high. That's my purpose. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now.
You've definitely been doing a good job of it. Um, and as far as another thing that I want to discuss is your perspective on life and how you carry out your life, right? I think there are a lot of people, fairly and probably mostly unfairly, but mostly fairly, if they get a side of you, right? You have a reputation in business sometimes of being a bully. I've never seen it. I've never I've never experienced it because I don't think that you have a statement that you say you give people what they want, right? And I think it's important in business. People who sense weakness will take advantage of you. That's in the streets. That's in the corporate world. Tell us about that philosophy, because every time I've been around you, I've felt nothing but love. The people that know you
Yeah,
and that you respect and love you.
right.
Tell me about that other side. Why that has to come out at times.
Well, first of all, I'm not a bully. I don't like
I don't.
bullies.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I don't. You have to understand
it's a
something about,
misperception.
yeah, and it's for others. I know you know this, but
Yeah,
for those that don't know no better,
yeah,
like being a bully is a weakness to
hmm,
me as a man. You know what I mean? And I never want to impose my power in a wrong way on the
yeah,
weak or take advantage. matter of fact, that goes against my whole belief system.
Yes.
I feel like something like that would cut my blessings off.
Yeah.
So it goes against my whole everything, right?
Yeah.
But but now I do believe, and I am a stand-up type of individual. You know
Yes.
what I mean? I'm not a person that will allow people to run over me or my family and my friends. Matter of fact, most of my fights, 90 some percent of them, is not because of somebody tried me, it's because of others. You know what
Yes.
I mean? I stand up. If I'm with you, I'm with you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just that type of situation. And of course, you got to be on the right side of the track. I'm not a fool, so I don't just stand
Yeah.
up on wrong.
Yeah.
But it's important to I guess kind of try to straighten that out as much as we can because I hear things and
Yeah.
it's a lot of lies float around in the air. But those that really know me understand that I just I stand on what I believe is right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, as you're kind of going through, the processing, you talked about you want to make sure you're in the right first. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. It's something I struggle with when somebody says something that upsets me. I feel the feelings flare up and it takes me a second to chill out before I make a decision. How do
yeah,
you how do you take care of yourself in such a way that you're balanced in your reactions?
yeah. Well, I learned that from uh, mind over matter. You know what I mean? As a kid, I had to figure out how to defeat muscle. You know what I mean? Guys that was bigger, used to impose their will on me with their muscles. So I had to figure out how to balance the scale with that. And from learning how to balance the scale with that, it caused me to rely on the biggest muscle in my body, which was my brain. So I'm always like thinking on how I win this situation
Yeah.
versus a reaction. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's how I learned that.
Yeah.
The patience with it because, I know I couldn't run up and deal with this muscle bound dude at this
Hmm.
particular time, but I understood that if I use my mind and opportunity present itself, I'm gonna win the fight.
Yeah.
So
Hey, I'm a skinny guy too, so I've always had to use mind over matter as well.
yeah,
Yeah, me too.
exactly.
And this another business venture that we haven't touched on yet, and this is what's so amazing is because I understand these industries, right? You first of all did it in the music industry when there's a 98% failure rate. And then you entered into a world of boxing, right? So I got a two-part question. Kind of one is, and then your first fighter is Floyd Mayweather, right? Or one of your first fighters is Floyd Mayweather in an industry that we know is very challenging to even break into.
Mhm.
How did you enter into the second venture in the same similar fashion as you did in your first venture?
Well, I ended it with prayer. I remember just as plain as day. God blessed me with a champion.
Yeah,
But here the trickery was, I had my mind and my sight on Mike Tyson.
yeah,
Mike Tyson wasn't a champion at the time,
yeah,
so I didn't flew all the way to Vegas. He embraced the meeting, and some kind of way Floyd Mayweather show up in the gym, and I don't even know who he is. I'm overlooking him, and he
yeah,
keep coming to me on a few different occasions. Jay, yo, Jay, yo, Jay, and then he gave me his number. But my focus on Tyson. Think about it now. I prayed for a champion. A
yeah,
champion was there.
yeah,
Now I thought I had Mike Tyson. We that night we agreed. Next day I couldn't reach him. Had that
yeah,
phone number. I said, "Who is this guy? 130-pound world champion." So a red light go off. I'm like, "Whoa!" Because I believe in prayer, right?
yeah.
I'm like, "Whoa!" I prayed for a champion. Do you know me and him closed the deal up in less than a week? Didn't cost me nothing.
Wow,
Nothing but prayer, man.
That's
wow.
cool.
So I
That's
can't, when people tell me uh, don't believe in prayer, I just be like, okay, I
yeah.
have to disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know your time is short. She said to keep it to 30. So we're going to ask you a few quick fun questions before we get you out of here. Um, the first one being on the boxing tip. Who are your top five boxers of all time?
Top five.
Yep.
Oh man, Ali, Andre Ward, uh, Floyd is he in my top. Uh, Shakur Stevenson right now.
Oh, he's a beast. I can't wait till he reaches his
You
full.
see me calling all my guys out.
Yep. Hey, they're all
Uh,
champs.
Man, Sugar Ray Robinson. I love Sugar Ray Robinson, man.
Yeah, he is the
Yeah,
blueprint. Like you're the
yeah,
blueprint in the hip hop
yeah,
space. I think he's the blueprint in boxing.
yeah, for sure.
The second question, Partha, go ahead. You've
Yeah.
been itching to ask you this one.
What are your top 5 books that you would recommend?
Oh man, The Art and Science of Respect,
Go get that, by the way.
Think and Grow Rich.
Love that one.
Uh, oh man, oh boy, let me think of these books. Man, I've been reading so many of them. The I think it's called the Master Key System.
Okay.
Oh man, oh, I wish I could click over in my thing. I'm trying to think. Okay, the Master Key System. Uh, oh, what's the name of this book? Oh boy, man, I'm having a block, man. I got
It's
all
all
these
good,
books.
man.
I have them wrote down, man. I
You
have
stay
them wrote
reading, and
down.
that's why we asked you the question.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. I'll think of them later.
All
Okay.
I have
good.
to
All
send
good.
that to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
And the last one, I know a lot of people ask you your top 5 rappers, but I know your musical tastes extend beyond that.
Yeah.
What are your top? Who are your top 5 just general musicians of all time and artists?
Michael Jackson,
Nice.
Mhm.
Prince.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me put a little rap in there. Tupac.
Nice. That's 3.
Uh, Let me put some more rap in there. I have to
You
go with
got that.
Biggie.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to put Biggie in there. And then I can't leave Scarface out. I have to put Face in there.
You have
That's
to.
good.
Yeah.
He's a living legend, man, and
Hmm.
we hope he gets better. He hope he gets better soon. Um, but look, Jay, this has been great. We
I
value your
appreciate
time.
it, bro. Yeah.
And I just want to end on this note. Like for people like us who dream big, it's you don't understand the value of having real life examples who are willing to spend their time and give
Yeah.
their time because it inspires us and teaches us so much.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for that. And
All good, bro.
the last thing I'm going to say to you is I know you got your ears to the streets and music.
Yeah.
I had you meet a young artist a while back. I want you to keep your ears to the street because
Okay.
I'm telling you now, she's going to be the female Drake, and she's in your
Okay.
backyard. So
Oh yeah. Well,
keep your ears to the street.
hey
That's
man,
smart.
let's do better than that. Bring it and let me hear it. I want to hear it when you come in town.
Definitely, let's do it.
Okay. All right,
All
bro.
right,
All right.
all
Thank
right,
you,
man.
man.
Love,
Take care.
man.